Aliens shook at the ancient war beast. The human called it a good boy. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Commander Zixithera reviewed the surveillance footage for the 7th time. The holographic display showed the impossible scene that had unfolded on the contested moon of Kepler 4R42c, where 3 separate alien military forces had been locked in a brutal stalemate for over 2 standard cycles. "Replay Sector 7 Gamma," Zixithera commanded, her chitinous fingers clicking against the control panel. The image shifted to show a lone human figure walking across the scarred battlefield, completely unarmed and seemingly oblivious to the carnage around him. Behind him followed something that made every alien in the chamber instinctively step back from the display. The creature stood nearly 2 meters at the shoulder, its massive frame covered in coarse, dark fur streaked with silver. Ancient scars crisscrossed its hide, evidence of countless battles survived. Its eyes glowed with an intelligence that seemed to pierce through the hologram itself, and when it opened its mouth, rows of razor-sharp teeth gleamed like polished steel. Each paw was the size of a small shield, tipped with claws that could rend starship hull plating. "By the 7 moons," whispered Ambassador Kretal, her normally composed demeanor cracking. "What manner of weapon has the Terran brought to our conflict?" The human in the footage, identified as Lieutenant Marcus Chen of the Terran Diplomatic Corps, paused at the edge of what had been designated as a neutral zone. The 3 alien armies had positioned themselves in a triangle around this area, each faction too evenly matched to advance without suffering devastating losses. "Zeus, stay," the human said casually, and the massive beast immediately sat, its bulk causing a small tremor in the ground. The Vrixani war chief, a towering reptilian, covered in ceremonial battle-scarred armor, had been the first to approach. His species prided themselves on being the galaxy's most fearsome warriors, having conquered 17 star systems through sheer brutality. "Human," the war chief had growled, his voice carrying the authority of 1,000 victories. "You trespass on a battlefield. Withdraw, or face the consequences." Lieutenant Chen had simply smiled. "Actually, I'm here on official business. The Terran Federation has been asked to mediate this dispute." The war chief's laugh was like grinding stone. "Mediate? You bring one pathetic beast and think to intimidate the Vrixani? I have personally slain creatures twice that size with my bare claws." That's when Chen had done something that still made the assembled council members nervous to watch. He had reached down and scratched the monster behind what appeared to be ears. "Who's a good boy?" Chen had cooed in the universal tone that every species somehow recognized as affection. "Yes, you are. You're such a good boy, Zeus." The creature, Zeus, had responded by making a sound that could only be described as contented. Its massive tail, easily capable of crushing a hover tank, wagged with obvious pleasure. The footage showed the exact moment when every alien warrior on the battlefield had simultaneously taken a step backward. Not in retreat. None of these species knew retreat, but in the sudden instinctual understanding that they were witnessing something beyond their comprehension. "The human displays no fear," observed Council Member Thekmore, his tentacles writhing with nervous energy. "How can one command such a creature without terror?" The answer had become apparent as the standoff continued. When a young Sirathi soldier, overcome with bravado, had fired a plasma bolt toward the human, Zeus had moved faster than their recording equipment could properly track. One moment the beast was sitting peacefully, the next it stood between Chen and the plasma bolt, which harmlessly dissipated against its hide. The growl that followed had made every alien within a kilometer radius check their weapons and consider their life choices. "Easy, boy," Chen had said, his hand never leaving Zeus's massive head. "They don't know any better." But it was what happened next that had prompted the emergency council session. Chen had produced a small object from his pocket. Later analysis would reveal it to be a simple rubber sphere, manufactured for recreational purposes. "Want to play fetch, Zeus?" The creature's response had been immediate and devastating. Its entire demeanor had shifted from ancient war beast to something else entirely. Something that made grown aliens question everything they thought they knew about the universe. Zeus had play-bowed, his massive rear end raised in the air, tail, wagging with enough force to generate its own weather system. The sound he made wasn't a growl or roar, but something that could only be called excited whining. Chen had thrown the ball, and Zeus had bounded after it like gravity was a mere suggestion. Each leap covered dozens of meters, and when he caught the sphere, he returned to Chen with a gait that could only be described as prancing. Good boy. Such a good boy. Who caught the ball? You did. The three alien armies had watched in stunned silence as this sequence repeated several times. The creature that could clearly tear through their ranks like tissue paper was playing. It was happy. More importantly, it loved the human. By the end of the day, all three factions had requested immediate withdrawal from the contested moon. The Vrexani war chief had personally delivered his army's surrender to Lieutenant Chen, though he'd maintained a respectful distance from Zeus, who was busy chasing his own tail in a display that defied every law of physics and dignity. The council must understand. Zixthera addressed the assembly, her voice heavy with implications, that this changes everything we know about human warfare capabilities. It's not a weapon, Ambassador Kretal said quietly. That's what makes it so terrifying. The hologram flickered back to the final scene, Chen scratching Zeus behind the ears while the great beast rolled over to expose its belly for rubs. In the background, three of the galaxy's most feared military forces were packing up and leaving with unprecedented haste. The humans, observed Council Member Thekmore, have weaponized affection itself. The chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. Somewhere in the depths of Terran space, creatures of unimaginable power were content to be called good boys and play fetch with rubber balls. The galaxy would never be the same. In the final frame of the recording, just before the transmission ended, Zeus looked directly at the camera with those ancient, intelligent eyes, and his tail wagged once more. The council meeting was adjourned indefinitely,